Welcome back to the LinkedIn Trust Series at Advertising Week New York. I have Jordan Bitterman here. You are part of the IBM Watson Group. You are the CMO of the Weather Company.
I am.
And the recent Watson Advertising.
Yep, just launched that yesterday. Very excited about it.
Talk about it. What is that about?
Well, we've been out on the street for a long time as the Weather Company, having lots of conversations about the weather and about data and selling products around that. But increasingly, especially after our acquisition by IBM last year, we've been also putting forward a number of different AI-based products. And it's kind of hard to have the name the Weather Company and talk about AI if in that moment you're not talking about AI related to the weather.
Yeah.
So we really needed a brand evolution. So we were releasing some new products, AI-based products for the ad industry this week, and it's all under the name Watson Advertising.
And this is all using the Watson technology that everybody is becoming more familiar with, like the Jeopardy.
Yeah.
and the technology that printed me a beautiful T-shirt last year at Advertising Week.
Yeah, it is. It is. There's a lot that AI can do. There's a lot of. I like to say if you ask 10 people about their definition of AI, you'll probably get like 11 different answers at this point. But it is about putting the skills that AI has to use to solve advertising problems. Everything from language translation to natural language skills, sentiment analysis. So all those things can help brands in various ways. So the products we're putting in market are an AI creative product, okay, one around media planning, one around targeting, and one around bidding and optimization.
Okay. How does the creative product work? I'm interested in that.
Yeah, so actually that's the first one that we launched. We launched it last year, calling ourselves Watson Advertising. So the product that we have in market, we've sold to a number of different clients so far. And basically it works this way. You take those skills and you're able to put them into an ad unit. So one of them is natural language processing. So you can actually speak into your phone and ask an ad a question. So in the case of Toyota, you can start the car buying research process by asking questions around, like I did. I live in the city, I put my car in a garage, so I've asked it, how can I charge my car if I live in the city? You can't just plan for that programmatically because you don't know how someone's going to ask that question.
Sure.
But using AI, you can account for any number of factors, and so that's one of the ways in which we're putting it to work there.
That's amazing. We're talking about the LinkedIn Trust Series here. So one of the questions that I had for you was, how much do you think trust matters to a brand's actual bottom line?
I think it matters immensely. You can go back to like the 1950s with the Good Housekeeping Seal of Approval. That came about because we needed to have a place. At that point, TV was burgeoning. There were probably a lot of claims being made that were not necessarily true. There was no place to fact check them at the time. And so Good Housekeeping comes up with this concept of how to do that. Companies now, one little misstep, whether it was intended or not, can really affect a brand's bottom line. We've seen that across the board. You know, Uber is a really good example of a company who has had a lot of trust issues, and while it's a little bit harder to see exactly how it's affecting their bottom line at this moment, just based on where they are in their process of being a private to public company, we have seen anecdotally some of rides have fallen off a bit, and so getting rid of their CEO, their founder CEO, getting a new one, trying to address those issues are critically important for brands.
And not even speaking to the Uber situation, I think with any brand, if you start losing that trust, then that just opens the door for more competition to step in and earn the trust that was lost.
Absolutely. I mean, you got to move fast, and you got to be authentic when you do it too. Right. I think so often there are responses. Equifax is another great example.
Right.
I mean, what a situation that was a few weeks ago, and comes out that it took them about a month to address it. So people's data was compromised for a month. Obviously, anyone who works in the corporate world knows things can take a long time to get on top of something. When you've got issues like that, you've got to get on them immediately and get out to your customer base with a solution.
Yeah, that's so true. So, how do you think companies should go about once they lose that trust? Like, do you have a recommendation? What do you think is the right thing to do for somebody to sort of backtrack and repair these relationships?
I think this is probably one of the best case studies that I've ever seen in this space was Domino's Pizza about 5-6 years ago or so. They probably don't like talking about it, but there was obviously some issues with some employees doing something they shouldn't have been doing in a restaurant around food preparation. And so they actually they just turned right into the skid, and they created a whole new campaign around transparency. They had a TV commercial, or a campaign anyway, that kind of brought you inside the restaurant. In the mobile app and on the website, they had something where you would be able to watch your pizza being made, not literally your pizza on video, but it was like
I've used it.
a pizza counter, and it was really
Sure.
cool. And there was actually even a point in that process where you could offer some encouragement to the guy making your pizza or the woman making your pizza, which
cool.
seems like a little odd, but I actually did it once and it felt really good. I was like, it was like, you go, guy. It kind of felt good that you were hooking the guy up. But I think that's all about transparency. They turned totally into that and said, look, we're going to invite everybody in here. There's nothing to hide.
So, one of the things that we also talk about is value versus trust. We mentioned this a little bit earlier talking with Keely. How have customers become more transactional value maximizers?
I think so. I think we as consumers have. You're probably the same way as me and everybody else. But we also have brands. We want to do businesses with businesses we like,
Yes.
businesses we trust. And so there are a lot of situations I know in my own home where there are products that we've been buying the same way for many years. And if we do make a switch, sometimes it can be based on value, but typically it's based on some other factor. It's based on a recommendation, and social has obviously driven a lot of that. It's based on what our friends use. It's based on the way we want to feel. But I think trust plays into that.
Great. Well, Jordan, thank you for joining me on the LinkedIn Trust series.
Absolutely.
We will be back for more with Advertising Week New York.